Welcome back to Maker Manager Money with Kyle Knowles, the podcast where we explore the journeys of entrepreneurs who've successfully navigated the world of making, managing, and of course, money. Today, we have a fascinating guest all the way from Argentina, Roger Einstoss, the CEO and co-founder of Braintly. Braintly connects U.S. companies with top-tier software engineering talent in Latin America. They've worked with big names like Volkswagen and Nikon, helping them build incredible products while enjoying the cost savings of nearshore development. Roger's story is a classic maker to manager tale. He started out coding as a teenager, then built his skills through university and early jobs. He co-founded Braintly with some of his colleagues, turning their shared passion into a thriving international business. In this episode, we dive deep into Roger's entrepreneurial journey, from selling burned CDs as a kid to leading a global team, the rise of nearshore outsourcing and how Braintly leverages Latin America's talent pool, the impact of AI on software development and how Roger's company is embracing it, the importance of networking for entrepreneurs, especially Roger's experience with the Entrepreneurs Organization, EO. So grab your headphones, get ready to be inspired, and let's learn from the best. Roger, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I've been really excited to meet with you since our intro call. I wanted to ask you, were there any signs that you would be an entrepreneur when you were younger?
Well, that's a good start. I think the first one was when I was 10, maybe, or 11 years old. I started selling music in CDs. Obviously, it was illegal, so I'm not sure if we can tell the story, but it was in the years of Napsters, the Casa, all that music that you were able to download from the internet. I was 10 or 11. This is the year, the late 90s, like 98, 99, 1998, 1999. So I think that was the first signal that I saw that, okay, yeah, I want to make some money. I know I want to make something more than being like a normal 10 years old guy.
Okay, so you're 9 or 10 and Napster was a beautiful thing. I remember Napster well. It was amazing that you could just find songs, obscure songs and things you couldn't even find in stores anymore because they weren't selling those songs or those CDs or those albums anymore. You started making CDs, I assume, from
Yeah,
Napster and selling
yeah.
those?
So yeah, selling to my friends like compilations. I remember that in those times you could maybe record burn was the right term for that, burn like 10 songs or 12 songs in a CD. So that was also the moment when I started like creating a kind of love for the Beatles. We talk about that. You can see my
Yeah,
my Hofner bass.
I love it.
I started with the Beatles, like creating those CDs, maybe selling to more. I think friends and family. It was not a business at all.
But you figured out how to make something and then manage the selling of it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the second step was when I was 15. I started my small company of giving classes to old people here in Argentina, like spreadsheets, Excel, PowerPoint, Word, Windows, like it was a kind of service for computers, but also helping people in their 60s that wanted to know how to use PowerPoint or email or those things. I had a couple of clients when I was 15. Well, that was the time where I also started coding, and I realized that, okay, I want to do something with informatics or with computers. I wasn't pretty sure about what was that thing, but I knew that computers were the answer in certain way.
What made you decide to do software engineering for a living?
Yeah, well, when I was sending the primary school in Argentina at the age of 12, I decided to go to change my school, and I went to a technical school. And I knew in that time that that technical school had like a specialization in informatics, but that was a couple of years later, at the age of 15. So I did the first part of the high school knowing that I wanted to do something with informatics. Then when I had to decide between, okay, do I have to decide informatics or maybe being an accountant or something like that, I decided informatics. I started coding with Visual Basic, 6 and PHP. And then when I graduated from high school, it was like the normal path, you know. I was enjoying the things that I were doing, and it was a normal thing to say, okay, now I have to go to the university, and the careers were maybe three or four, like software engineer, software analyst, and another career that in Argentina it's called like scientist, software scientist, or something like that. So I thought, okay, I want to be an engineer, and it was something big for me, you know, because I remember that when I was a kid, I used to see to people, to engineers, like something, wow, this guy is an engineer. It's something impossible to achieve, but I did it, and I started going and started progressing in the career, and 5 years later, I got my degree. So it was a process, but it was not difficult for me. It was something like pretty straightforward.
And you enjoyed doing it.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. And then after you graduated, you started working at an organization, a corporation.
Yeah, after graduating from high school, I worked my whole career.
Oh, okay. While you were at university, you were working.
Yeah, yeah. You know that here in Argentina, university is free. It's public and free. That's one of the big things that we have as a country, and that's why we produce tons of good talent. Not only engineers, everything. When I graduated from high school, I had like 3 years of experience coding at school, not professional coding, but I had experience. So I started working for a company that was from a teacher. It was a teacher at high school. It was my teacher. And when we finished the year, he came to me and told me, hey, I want you to join my company as a developer, as a junior developer. So I said, yes, of course. I want to have my first experience. And I worked like almost for 4 years there. And it was perfect because I remember I used to work like 6 or 7 hours a day with a lot of flexibility. So it was an amazing experience.
With all that experience, and then with your degree, I assume you were promoted or you got a job at a different company.
I got a job at a different company. I joined the second company that I worked for. The third one was Braintly, my company. The second one, it was like a radio company, like multimedia company here in Argentina. That's the company where I met Facu, one of my co-founders. I met him in the company. He was the infrastructure and informatics chief, and I was the digital products chief. But it was a kind of manager. It was an upgrade for me because I went from being a developer to being a kind of manager of a small structure. I mean, it was one developer, one designer, and me as a manager. That also I also was coding, so it was weird, but it was a great experience because I changed the industry. I went from a software factory to a traditional company, like a multimedia company, and I had my first experience like leading people, hiring developers, making interviews, leading with internal clients, which is different to lead with external clients. So it was also an amazing experience.
Yeah. And how did you find that? The podcast is called Maker, Manager, Money. And the idea behind that is, you have to make something, then you have to manage something. And on the other side of that is the money. And a lot of founders and entrepreneurs I found are makers. They start out in software development, much like you did, making things, right? And then they move into management. And that's kind of everyone's career progression, pretty much, even if you're not in software, because managers are paid more money. But how did you find the transition from being a maker and moving to a manager?
It was really tough because nobody taught me about how to do it. I just got the job and started doing it. And I remember that in the first moment I had problems with the internal team because one of the team members was waiting for a promotion, and then I came into the company and took the role, and she was expecting that why I'm not the person for that role. So she was always fighting. It was not a good experience, but at the end we ended up having a good relationship. 15 years later, I think, yeah, it's almost 15 or more, almost 20 years, almost 20 years later, I realized that she helped me a lot because I was too optimistic about how people work. And when you are a leader, when you are a manager, which I think are different things, being a manager and being a leader, but when you are managing people, you have to understand that not all the people will do the things as you are waiting. Not all the people will have the same accountability about the tasks, and that's not enough for deciding firing someone. Maybe it's okay the amount of accountability that they have for this role, and you have to deal with that, and you have to understand that, okay, I'm deciding that it's 6 p.m. and I will not go home because I have these things to get done, and I will be at the office. And she or he, it's 6 p.m. and they just go home. And you have to be comfortable with that, understanding that not all the people will work the way you are expecting them to work or the way you work. And that was a big learning for me. Even later for founding the company and starting building the very first team.
Let's talk about when and how you and your two co founders decided to become founders and entrepreneurs.
Well, it was Faku, the one who started telling me, hey, we have to do something. We have a big opportunity. He's the visionary of the company. And nowadays, he has like the official title of visionary of the company. But trying to think 15 years ago and coming back to that moment, he also had the vision that we had something really good in our hands. Like we were developers, we were technical people, but also with soft skills. And we had an opportunity of working from Argentina to the States, even helping in that moment different kind of companies here in Argentina. So he was the one who started saying, hey, Roger, we have to do something. We can't be here at this company forever. We have an opportunity. We should start. So we started looking for clients, not knowing how. I mean, it's something that right now, nowadays, we still are looking for new finds of getting new clients. Imagine in that moment, like not having any idea of how to run a company or even more get a client. The first opportunity came by a friend of mine who was working for a startup in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley, and they were looking for a software engineer, for a developer in Latin America. And he told me, "Hey Roger, we are looking for a developer. Do you want to be that developer? I mean, with your company?" So I obviously said, "Of course." I mean, and that's how we started with that first client in Silicon Valley. It was like going from 0 to 100 like overnight, like working for clients in Argentina, in our jobs, in our official jobs, changing to American mindset, trying to understand them, another language. Remember that English is not, it's not our native language, so it was full of challenges, but we did it.
That's awesome. So you founded Braintly in 2013 or was it 2010? Are you coming up on 15 years?
No, it was in 2012, the end of 2012, and we got the first client in 2013, maybe, yeah, almost a year after starting. Because you know that when you start, it's like, okay, let's pick a name, and you start. But then we just sat and wait for the first client.
And how did you choose the name Braintly? What does that mean?
Well, that's a good story. It's something funny because it's like when you buy a dog, and or you adopt a dog, and you always, I know, for instance, we know that if we have a dog, we want to name it like Pixel because it's funny for us. the word. But I'm sure that when the moment arrives, we will not be sure of naming it Pixel. So the same happens with a company. You are full of names, but when the moment arrived, we didn't know what was the correct name. So we started playing with a tool, like a web tool that used to merge different kind of words. So I swear that I can't remember the words, but I think that it was something like brain and brilliant. So one of the choices that the merging of brain and brilliant outcome was Braintly. And we thought, okay, it's a good name. It's easy to pronounce for the States, not for Argentina. It's difficult in Argentina for people in Argentina pronounce Braintly. They say something like Braintly, or it's difficult to say, but for the States was Braintly. It's obvious. So well, that was we also saw that the domain was like available, so that's an important thing too. The .com.r, which is the Argentinian domain, so we just moved forward and we thought, okay, it's just a name. If we have to change it in 5 years, we can do it.
Yeah, it's over 10 years now. So congratulations for being in business
Thank
over
you.
10 years. It's amazing. Very few last even 5 years. So it's amazing you guys have been in business for over 10 years.
Thank you.
Tell me what services you offer at Braintly. How do you guys make money?
Well, it's a pretty simple model. We are helping companies, especially in the US, to build their engineering teams in Latin America. So the basic case studio is a client, like a small or medium-sized company in the States that wants developers in Latin America, and they don't know how to hire those developers, how to pay them, how to manage them. They want developers, or they want engineers in general. I would say developers, project managers, quality assurance, whatever. So they come to us and we help them hire that people in two modes. One mode is staff augmentation. So if the client has a technical team, a CTO, VP of engineering, or something like that, we can assign the developers without management. So we recruit the developers, we make the hard and soft interviews, the technical interviews, we vet the person, and then we present it to you and say, hey, he's Roger. He's a software engineer. This is his experience. This is our the test that we run over him. And if you decide to move forward with that person, we hire that person. We take care of administrative things, taxes, paying them in Latin America, having them happy, everything. And you pay us. We have our legal entity in the States, so you will be hiring an American company, but having the chance of hiring people from Latin America. The other model, which is not so different, is when the client doesn't have a technical team, maybe a founder team that it's not technical, we assign an entire team, not only one developer, which we call a squad, and it has a project manager, a quality assurance, and a developer. In that business model, the economics are the same. I mean, the administrative thing is the same. So we hire the people, we recruit the people, we take care of those things. So you can focus on your business, and we help through the project manager to create and think the roadmap, to execute the task, lead the team. We in this model we involve much more people in your business model because you are open to that, because you are not technical, so you need someone that can help you translate your business thoughts into technical or software solutions. So we get more and more involved. So those are basically the two business models, which are almost the same, because at the end of the day is we are your partner in Latin America. If you want to hire developers in Latin America, we can help you, no matter if you need an entire team or not.
Okay. And I understand that some of your clients have been Volkswagen, Nikon, T-Mobile as well.
Yeah.
And what kinds of things do you build and make for different clients?
Yeah, most of the times we work in the core product of the client. 100% of our clients are technological companies. I mean, it's difficult for us to work with a company that I know build buildings, because they are not a technical or technological company. So we are not working like in ERPs or Salesforce integrations in those things. We work more with technological companies that, and I define technological company as companies that needs the software to operate. If they don't have the software, they can't operate, basically. So that's why software and having a good engineering team, it's important for them, because if they can't move forward with the thoughts, with the roadmap, with the features that they need to get done, they will probably get stuck from the business point of view. So for Volkswagen, for instance, we worked 2 years ago or three maybe, and we developed an entire native application in React Native for internal use. So it was an application for the employees in Argentina and Brazil. They use the application for checking in and out when they arrive to the industry. They also have news, have different kind of systems to notify to their bosses, okay, I will be offline this day for reason A or B. You know, all the classical features that an internal team needs in a factory, which is not the same that an agency like us. So it was done for a team of 5 people. It had like 3,000 users per month, which is a good number for an internal application. And then they took that application and they used it for different kind of countries, but we weren't part of that project, because I know, you know, that in these multinational companies, maybe if they already have a contract to make developments with, I know, the States, they will not hire another agency. They will take what Brazil done and say, okay, we will do this, but with our suppliers. So yeah, that was an exciting project.
You built the whole thing from scratch, or did you work with a development team in-house at Volkswagen to build it?
Both. Sometimes we build things from scratch with a startup or with a company that say, imagine we work with startups, but also imagine a big company that have the core product and say, hey, I want to create this new business unit, but I can't do it with my team because they are so focused on the daily things. So they hire us to create that new product. So for instance, in those cases, we work from scratch, creating a product, thinking the architecture, the design, everything. In other cases, in staff augmentation, for instance, we work with software that maybe, I know, was done a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and they have their team, and we plug our team to the client's team to empower the whole team and have like more capacity and more ability to develop more and more things. So the answer is both. We can work in both scenarios.
That's awesome. So have you ever worked with a solopreneur, for example, some fashion designer that has these clothes and wants to sell them, and maybe you could build them an app, like a retail app for their new fashion line that they're launching?
We used to do it, but we don't do it anymore, because we are in the last 3 years we are focusing more in companies, because we understand that it's better for our business, because
Mm-hmm.
companies can give us like more predictability about revenue, about long-term projects. And when you work with really really early startups or solopreneurs, many times you know that it's like a one-shot project, like 2 months and that's all. And from the operational point of view, hiring an entire team for 2 months for us, it's really expensive, so we can't do it. So that's why we used to work a lot with those things. I really enjoy working with early stage entrepreneurs, and that's why I'm also a mentor in some organizations because I really enjoy from the personal point of view. But we decided a couple of years ago that for the company we needed to focus on another segment of clients.
That makes sense. It makes good business sense to have long-term customers and clients, and you don't get that if someone just wants a one-off app like that. So that makes sense. My son's majoring in computer science software development in college. What does the future of work look like for a software developer?
Wow. I think the answer is nobody knows. Maybe Elon Musk knows. The only thing that I know is that it's obvious, but it will change for sure. I mean, and if someone thinks that developers will still work in the same way that they are working today in 5 years, I think it's blind. I don't know. I don't think that developers will disappear. I think that in a couple of years, getting senior developers will be difficult because you know that for having a senior developer, you need a junior developer, and all the developers that are starting working or developing right now, they are so like focused on working with AI, which is okay because it's not the future, it's the present. So I think that with this thing of AI, they are missing the academic thing of developing. You know, learning about design partner patterns, learning about scalability, learning about many things that they don't need to focus because they have ChatGPT or Copilot or Cursor that will solve that problem for them. So I think that in a couple of years it will be difficult to get good senior developers. So that could be a problem. And also, I also think that will change the work for developers because it will be easier to start being a developer. So, for instance, I know all these coding schools that you know that we had like a boom of coding schools during COVID. It's getting difficult for them right now because with the eruption of AI, most of the people don't need a coding school anymore. They can see a couple of videos and start like uh, writing code using ChatGPT. For instance, we did an experiment a couple of months ago, sorry, with my Facu, my co-founder. He's not a developer. He's a technical person, but not a developer. And we gave to him one of the challenges, the technical challenges that we do with the people. And we tell him, try to solve it using ChatGPT. And he did it. And we empower candidates to use AI when they solve the challenges. But then the important thing is having the ability to defend that challenge, and that's the thing that I'm sure that will be difficult in a couple of years. Having people with strong knowledge, with strong fundaments to that, and the ability to defend the solutions or the thoughts that they have. So it's difficult to say where are we going, but we have to hop on the train and be part of that way, because otherwise we will not have work in 5 years. So we have to do it all. I mean, companies, non-technical clients, developers, designers, everyone must do it.
So, what is your recommendation to someone that's going into software development to kind of help them stay ahead of the AI curve and still, learn and retain the information that you're expecting from senior developers?
I would say that reading a book, like a patterns book, watching YouTube videos, going to some not boot camp, but some I know course or something like that they can learn how is ChatGPT doing things behind the scenes. So if they have at least some kind of knowledge about why ChatGPT is saying, hey, let's use this pattern, for instance, or let's think this kind of infrastructure, I think in a couple of years that people will make the difference. Even today, we realize that we have many clients. We know that we have many technical clients that say we don't want people from boot camps because they know, and it's nothing against people that went to boot camps, but it's really really huge the gap between someone who went to the university and studied like a software engineering career and someone who learned coding by themselves. Obviously, making generalizations, it's not the best thing, and I'm not part of that, but it's like a tendency that you usually can see between people. So the same thing here. They have to learn to code using AI because it's the way, but don't forget about going to the library or understanding uh, what's happening behind the scenes of all that new way that is happening.
That makes sense. So, since you're probably using AI for some things, debugging or other things like that, how are you able to explain to customers, explain to clients? You're using AI, and as far as billing and things like that, are you just getting more done now? Are you more efficient because of AI, and you have those conversations with clients, or what are they asking you about AI, and what are you telling them?
Yeah, they are not asking questions in general, or the a general question is for like a more traditional business, maybe saying, hey, I know that I have to do something with AI, but I don't know how or what, so help me with that. But we show them, we are convinced that we don't have nothing to hide. I mean, we want them to know that our developers are using AI, and thanks to that they are writing better code and and much quicker. So I think it's part of the game, and we have to play it. For instance, with some roles, we are also using AI for making the interviews. So some steps of our interview, it's made by AI with someone that says, "Hey, I'm Robert, your AI interviewer. How are you today, Kyle?" And you have to answer, and it decides what kind of questions will do depending on your answer. So we are testing. I mean, we have to be innovating all the time. Uh, and it's something that that I talk with many recruiting agencies in Argentina especially, and I think most of them, they are not seeing that. They are so uh, secure that the way that they are recruiting now will be the same for the next 10 years, that they are not doing nothing. And I think that they should. At least we are doing that.
And is that something that a service that you pay for, or something that you guys wrote yourself?
No, it's something that we are paying. It's called Micro One. Micro One. Yeah, yeah.
Micro One is the
Micro One.
product.
Yeah, it's the product. And I mean, we are A/B testing that many things. For instance, we have people that we ask them, hey, we have this tool, and we also have the real human being interviewer. Are you willing to do both? And then give us your feedback about which one was better. And many people say no because I don't have time, and it's okay. And other people say yeah, obviously, because that I always say that developers are split between two big worlds: the one that love doing interviews, and the one that don't love you doing interviews. I remember when I was a developer, I loved doing interviews because it's an amazing way of learning new things. Because you go to an interview, and the best thing that can happen to you is that they ask things that you don't know. So you get out of the interview and say, okay, what was this thing that they asked me? And I don't know. So it's a great way of learning new things. At least it was for me 15 years ago.
Yeah. interviewing and being
Yeah, both.
interviewed. Being interviewed and interviewing other people is a great way to learn, for sure. So, I was going to ask you, what's your favorite LLM to use?
I'm testing ChatGPT, Claude. ChatGPT and Claude are the main ones.
Do you have a preference for different tasks or?
Yeah, for things that involve images, it's better ChatGPT, I think. But for instance, for reviewing an email, a follow-up email, or a feedback or something like that, it's better Claude. I think it's more natural, or at least I feel that it talks like more like me than ChatGPT. You know that ChatGPT introduced like big words, and many times remember that my main language it's not English. So if I am using those like amazing words, it's obvious that I didn't write that. uh, I mean, when I talk with someone, even through email, obviously I do my checks and everything, but they have to know that I'm not a native speaker. I mean, it's like if I'm talking with you in Spanish, I'm not expecting you to have my accent or don't miss any sentence or verb or whatever.
Or using big words, right? Or using those big
Yeah,
words you talked about. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm using both. Probably more ChatGPT. Most of the uses are for social media, writing emails, brainstormings. For instance, now I'm working on the strategy for next year, for the sales strategy, and I'm using it like a consultant for thinking about lead generation strategies, or I know I'm planning the events that I will be going to the States next year, and thinking, okay, give me a list of the events that match this, and that. And it's like a friend that you have seated next to you and you can talk with.
Yeah. Very smart friend that never gets tired and
Yeah.
doesn't have any biases about you or emotional baggage or anything like that. So I have you do you have ChatGPT on your phone then?
Yeah, but I use it more from computer. I try not to use my phone to work, because it helps me to maintain that the work life balance. I only have Slack and WhatsApp.
Okay. Well, I was just going to tell you that you talked about using ChatGPT to brainstorm, sales strategies and things like that. But one of my favorite uses of ChatGPT is the voice mode, and just going on walks and having conversations and brainstorming all kinds of ideas. It keeps the whole transcript. You can ask it to summarize it at the end. What are the next steps? What are the actions that we've come up with talking about here? And it's just a wonderful use of AI and ChatGPT. I wish Claude would come out with voice mode too, so that I can have, vocal conversations with Claude as well. So, what are you? Or I was just going to ask you, how do you use AI at work, and do you use it in your personal life, and how so? I guess we already talked about we talked about emails and
Yeah, at
responding to
work,
emails and memos and things.
yeah,
Yeah, go
that's the
ahead.
way I use it at work. In my personal life, yeah, I use it, but I know. I remember this year I went to Miami for an event, and I only had like half a day to go to the shopping. For Argentinian people, anyone who is listening to this podcast and know some Argentinian know that every time we go to the States, we go to the shopping because it's much cheaper to buy than buying in Argentina. And I only had half a day, so I asked ChatGPT, "Hey, I have first give me a list of the store that I have in Sogras, which is one of the biggest shopping centers in Miami." So it gave me the list, and then I told him, okay, I want to go to these 20 stores. Please build for me the best way of going through those stores, taking into account that I'm alone, not with the kids. And I have like, and I'm going in the morning. I remember that I told it. I know if ChatGPT is him, her, it. Um, So yeah, I use it from the personal point of view for those things, but not too much.
Awesome. And you're still involved with the EO as well, the Entrepreneurs Organization? And you would recommend that to new entrepreneurs?
100%. Yeah. Yo has been amazing for me. I joined 2 years and a half ago. It's a global entrepreneurs network. It has like almost 20,000 members all over the world. I know in the States, Japan, China, Argentina, everywhere. And here in Argentina, we are more than 100 members. And it's amazing because you will find no matter the country you go. I mean, every time I go to the US, I try to meet with people from EO. I know LA, San Francisco, Miami, New York, different chapters in the States. And the it's difficult to explain, but the feeling that you have meeting another member from EO in 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 another country, it's amazing because you have and you get that like instant intimacy, they call it, that you can start sharing feelings, sharing problems about your business. And you always find like really smart people that are running amazing companies or sold their companies. So if you're an entrepreneur and you feel that you are doing it alone by yourself, not being connected to the ecosystem, I highly recommend joining any network. I mean, I'm part of EO and I highly recommend EO, but it depends on your industry. You have Bistash, EO. We are now trying to join Hamtoms in New York. So any kind of organization that can help you be more involved with other people like you that are in the same mood, I would say, like running a company, leading people, having people issues, having issues with clients, having like challenges about how to growth or how to run the company, whatever. It's really really useful.
Awesome. What's your biggest goal right now, Roger?
Um, well, keep growing for sure, but that's like a normal question. I would say to be more specific, to have like more predictable revenue, not revenue, predictable growth. I would say because most of our new clients come from referrals. Like we have a client who is happy with us, so they refer to us someone that they trust or they just met in an event and say, hey, if you need developers in Latam, talk with Roger. And that's amazing because it seems that they are happy with our work. But the bad thing about that is we can't predict the amount of leads that we will have. So my main goal next year is working in the lead generation and trying to generate leads in a more predictable way. So not only having the referrals, which are amazing, and we will still like asking our clients to for those referrals, but also having another ways of generating leads, going to events, hosting events, podcasting, marketing, I don't know, many things. And it's one of the most difficult things for service companies like us because I mean, we can't have just putting an ad in Google because nobody will hire an entire team because just saw you in a Google ad. So selling a product, I think it's much easier. Probably product companies will say that selling a service it's easier, but that's my main challenge more than goal.
What's the book, Roger, that you recommend the most to people?
Thinking Fast and Slow, it's amazing. One of my favorites. I read. I would say another one. If you are running a company and you have problems with your operations, I read a book called Get a Grip. It's about how to implement EOS, which is a framework for running companies. We started running EOS 2 years and a half ago. When I joined I found that framework and I thought, okay, this is the heaven. And I read that book, and I don't know if the book itself it's amazing, but it teaches you very in a straightforward way, very easy, how to run that framework. And if you are dealing with day by day problems constantly in your company, understanding that book and that framework will change your life. So that's why I would recommend that book.
Yeah, that's great. I can't recommend the book Traction enough to people because it's the
Yeah.
entrepreneurial operating system, the blueprint, but I haven't read Get a Grip yet. So I'm looking forward to reading that. Thanks for the recommendation. And we're running out of time here. So I just have a few questions left for you, Roger. You saw Paul McCartney in Argentina, and I know I found out that you play guitar and play bass guitar. Are you in a band? Do you write music? And what kinds of music do you like to play?
I'm not in a band, but it's one of my pendings. I don't write music. I can read music, but I don't write music. And my top one band it's the Beatles. I love the Beatles. I started listening to them when I was 10, 11, and it's part of my life. But I also like some like national rock from Argentina. I'm pretty open. I mean, but if I have to answer like a black and white answer, it's the Beatles. That's my favorite one.
Awesome. So, what's one thing you'd like to change about yourself?
Being less anxious, probably. I'm a really anxious person. I'm much better than 10 years ago, but and it's good for sometimes for the business, but other times having like I know when you're working on sales, you can be anxious and it's difficult many times to deal with that. So it's something that I'm constantly working to try to change or at least adapt to the situations.
Yeah, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are anxious and
Yeah.
get up early and stay up late and those kinds of things. So, what are some of the ways you deal with your anxiety?
Music is one of those. Going to the gym, it's something that I discovered this year and a little bit late in my life probably, but I'm enjoying that and I'm feeling better with my body and everything. And spending time like no working time, like with friends, with the family, going on vacations. I really love traveling, so every time I can, I go on a short or long vacations with the family. My partners always say that I'm taking too much vacations, and I always answer them that they should be doing the same. I'm a big fan of this way of thinking that life is only you only have one life, so you have to live it. You have to enjoy every little moment because you never know. So I would say that I don't know why, but I'm really good with this thing of work-life balance, maintaining the stress. Obviously, you have moments that it's impossible to handle, but most of the time, I'm good with that.
I like that. I like your attitude of YOLO, right? You only live once. And
Yeah,
you had mentioned, is it FACO? Am I saying that right?
Facu.
FACO
Yeah,
is the visionary of the company. What's your other partner's name?
Federico. It's like Frederick. Yeah,
Okay, Fede. And what is his role? And then what is your role?
Federico is the operational guy. I used to work in that seat in the operational role, but 3 or 4 years now I just moved from that role because that's the real stressful thing being in the operations. So he's running the operation much better than I used to do it, and my role is being in the sales team, leading the sales team, talking with clients, discovering like new opportunities that we have with them, going to events, being the face for the company, and obviously leading as a CEO, like the conversations with people, but not the day by day conversations. That things are over Fede, and the other ones are on me.
Awesome. So you're leading.
Yeah.
And what is the difference in your mind between leading and managing?
It's a little bit philosophical and not. I think that when you are leading, you are inspiring people to do things because they really buy the idea. They really believe that that's the way of doing the things. And when you are managing, it's like more transactional. It's like, okay, you are good organizing others' time, others' tasks, and saying, okay, you have to do A, B, and C, and this is the order. That's managing, and dealing with the day by day people issues. But when you have like difficult situations with people in your company, that's the moment when, or even difficult situations in the company, like I know firing people or losing big clients, those kind of things. You have to be more leader than manager, and it's difficult. And I don't believe that I'm the best person doing that, but I just try to do my best.
I bet you do a really good job. I mean, you've been in business for over 10 years, so I'm sure you're a fantastic CEO and leader, and you care about people, and I feel like you have empathy as well, just from our two conversations together. Okay, just a few more questions. I have a lightning round of questions, but before that, since you said you travel a lot, what's the favorite place you've ever traveled to, and what's a place you have to travel to before you die that you've never been to?
My favorite city in the world is New York. I went 5 times, 6 times, but I still remember the first time I went when I saw Times Square. And for people from Latin America, or especially Argentina, we grew up watching movies from the States, from Hollywood, and most of the movies are made in New York. So being in New York, it's always for me like being in a movie. So I would say that it's one of my favorite cities in the world. Not for living. I would never live in New York, but for visiting or working. And a place that I have to go before dying. Um, I want to know like some weird place, like I know Alaska, for instance, or Groenlandia. I mean, some place that it's not normal to go, because I also have my pending list going to China or Japan, but I know that I will do it eventually because it's like a touristic place. But going to the Antarctica or Groenlandia, um, Alaska's, I know, are places that you say, or at least I think, okay, these places are weird, and you will go only once in your life.
Yeah.
So I'm right now, like I told you, I have like small children, 2 and 6 years old. So for me, the best plan is going to Mexico or to Punta Cana, or even here in Argentina to a beach, a place with swimming pools, because they are really small. But I'm planning to resume my my long trips whenever I can.
I love those answers. Okay, I just have a final round of a lightning round of questions for you. We'll just go through these quickly. What's your favorite candy bar?
The Hershey's, yeah.
Hershey's with almonds or just Hershey's plain?
Well, no, with almonds.
Okay. Favorite cereal?
Cereal, the Fruit Loops.
Mac or PC?
Mac, without any kind of doubt.
I love it. Google or Microsoft?
Google.
Dogs or cats?
Ducks.
And the last two questions I have for you, Roger, and then we'll call it a day. But what's the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur, and what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur?
The worst thing is having to make difficult decisions with people. Like I know, fighting people because you can't support them, not because of performance. It's also hard, but when you lost a big client and you have to reduce your company, that's the hardest thing for me, for sure. And the best thing, it's the ability to change someone else's business, and also life with people with talent. You know that here in Latin America, for someone to get a job for the States and having their salary in US dollars and those things makes a huge difference against working for a company in Argentina. So we are not only helping and giving a benefit for companies in the US and helping businesses to have being like more cost efficient and have like uh, good talent, amazing talent, but also we are helping people here in Argentina to change their lives, maybe to move from their parents' house or moving from like a bad neighborhood to a good one. So seeing people that can improve their life thanks to your company, it's something really powerful.
Those are great answers. I love those answers. And it sounds like entrepreneurship has not only changed your life, but you're helping to change the lives of others. And so that's just a great story. And I want to thank you, Roger, for being on Make Your Manager Money podcast. I wish you and Fetty and Faco another 10 years in business, if
Thank
not
you.
20 or 30 more years in business. I think you have something going on down in Argentina that United States companies can tap into. And I just really appreciate you taking your time talking about your entrepreneurial journey and sharing insights into entrepreneurship, AI, and the other things we've discussed today. So thank you so much.
I really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much for the invitation, for having me in your show, and also good luck for all your endeavors.
Thank you.